All right. Very good. Good evening. Call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the October 11, 2016 minutes. We had a chance to review those. Is there a motion?
That was set. Yeah, it was set.
You have to take one too if there's.
You want them?
Yes, please. I'll just take one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve it.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Pam. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is call to the public. We take this time at every meeting to hear from the public on this project. Remind you that we're looking for statements to the board. If you have anything you want to say to the board or what have you, this won't be a give and take, but we will gladly take any information you have to share with us. So if you care to speak, please come forward and state your name and where you're from, and have at it. You have 3 minutes each, is what I want to say.
Thank you. To maintain the 3 minutes, that's why I'll just kind of read through my notes from the iPad. I'm Danny Neutron Appella, concerned citizen, professional pilot, and previous project manager. I've watched this process from afar for many years, have worked or led projects for 20 plus years, and have some concerns. I'm neither for or against the new airport, but see some glaring holes in this process. I'm speaking from a Appella perspective. As far as personal open disclosure, my dad Leroy and my brother Randy have done some land surveys during the project planning. I've not spoken to any corporate pilots impacted, and I'm speaking from a professional pilot perspective, reviewing publicly available information. Each project begins with a requirement. We've all heard of the $700 hammer or the $4 billion destroyer. Why is it $700 or $4 billion? Because requirement or price per unit has changed during that development. You know that as business professionals. This new airport begins with addressing a safety clear zone to change the existing Pella Airport from a B2 to Category C, in addition to a central airport location. This expansion resulted from an expanded aircraft capability, in other words, increased or changed technology in light jets, from the use in the 1989 runway expansion. In other words, the airport use has changed, design criteria did not. So solution, as it is covered in the FAA comments, is install an EMAS to improve runway end and side safety criteria. This is used all over the nation versus rebuilding or relocating an airport. Examples are New York LaGuardia, Midway, Chicago Executive, White Plains, John Wayne, and many others. As a Pella City Councilman so eloquently put the other day, governing entities allow variances, waivers, exceptions to account for changes in design criteria from original construction versus not allowing facility improvements or destruction or reconstruction. The requirement, one of the requirements was to enable precision approach criteria, known primarily as an ILS or instrument landing system, to the existing Pella Airport. That's been determined as being overly expensive since a road and houses need to be moved. A solution, new technology as it evolves, is developing WASP precision approach, encourage heads-up display, aircraft heads-up display avionics, synthetic vision capability. These are all available today, all of which increase the safety margins for larger corporate aircraft that the new airport is intended to support. Is this a database validated requirement using comparable analysis? In other words, how did the forecast compare to actual performance? Pella's use is listed in the FAA report as 300 to 500 operations per year. That's a 66% error rate. Is that more use? Less use? What's the capability in the future? I fly over and through unused airport capacity every week. Kansas City, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Mid-America Scott Air Force Base, Branson, Missouri, Branson West, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Stafford, Virginia, and many more. Our tax dollars April 15, remember that's coming, your tax dollars paid for that completely unused capability. It still sits there. Those airport entities, you in your position, are now responsible for that upkeep. Airport design. This new airport, in my opinion, is just basically concrete on farmland. Yes, the runway length is extended and widened. That does not change the safety capability of the aircraft operations. Taxiways cannot support larger, more long-range aircraft than the Gulfstream 200, the design aircraft. By the way, that's no longer in production. It can't handle the next size larger Gulfstream of 450 due to wingspan and maximum takeoff weight. It's designed to have precision approach, implying an ILS, which is a 50-year-old capability. I saw nothing in the design incorporating future precision approach or aircraft capability. An airport designed for the past, not considering the future. Lack of aviation use is probably the biggest one. Airports today need to have a non-aviation related income. They have to be diversified. You have to have a walking park, a sports park, a sculpture park, a storage unit, a business park, restaurant, retail, something to bring the average bypasser driving by the local community folks into the airport. Commercial airports have learned that the hard way. 3, as far as I know, many aircraft can fly Category C approach criteria. From a 4-seat twin-engine Duchess to 150-seat Airbus 320. The issue is not the approach speed, but the safety ground zone or the mitigation of that ground zone. That's where the mitigation efforts with EMS come into play. 5,400-foot runways, like Pella currently has, are in use daily. At LaGuardia, White Plains, Santa Ana, Midway, Chicago Executive, that jet aircraft fly into daily. The only difference is runway width and length and weight bearing capacity. Add 25 feet to the current Pella Airport and the proper subsurface, and these aircraft can land at Pella. In fact, the C-130 today can land out of the Pella Airport.
Sir, I'll just remind you, we've got
How much of my time do I have left?
it's 6 minutes you've done so far.
6 minutes, okay.
But I
think
encourage you to go ahead and
I
wrap
can
it
give you a
up,
summary.
and I would also encourage you, if you'd like, to email the statement in, so we
do
can have that.
Probably the biggest thing in
helpful.
1 minute,
I
funding.
appreciate it.
Funding. The new airport design is coordinated by the FAA Central Airport Design Division. The projected building cost is $24 to $30 million. Remember, this is through the Central, from what I understand, it's through the Central Airport Division. You have 9 other airport divisions to compete against for the millions of dollars. Are you prepared for that? That was in, I believe it's 2010 dollars. What's it going to be in 2020 dollars? Next question for you to consider. How many FAA funding requirements that are validated today have been unfunded, and how long have they been unfunded? You can have a great idea, but you got to have money to do that. Congress has that capability. So in summary, to take up 1 minute, incorporate future technology into the airport design with validated, updated economic, operational, and expanded capabilities. Incorporate non-aviation users to diversify the new airport capacity. Prepare and locally communicate potential funding shortfalls and delay options. I'll cover that delay option in just a moment.
I need you to wrap it
Okay.
up, please.
I look at your
Thank you.
website. There's a number of errors I have found on the website. I thank you very much, Jim, for helping me find information on that website. Be proud of the capability that you have today and realize there are some things that have not been fixed in the current airport for over 25 plus years as I've lived here. So the takeaway, designing, building, and maintaining a new airport of any size is a huge and expensive undertaking. I urge you to seek lessons learned from the Mid-America Airport in St. Clair County, Illinois. I lived there for 20 years. How the forecast changed, how the development challenges, and the future of the airport. Speak with the airport manager and county officials to learn about unexpected talent challenges. It has been an anchor around their neck for the last 20 years. Remember Fleecing of America? Mid-America Airport has been on that show 3 times. The forecasts changed, economic situations changed, the capability changed. It nearly pulled down the entire, not just the St. Clair County in Illinois, but also a big drain on Illinois. So I'm available for your help at any other particular time. Thanks a lot for your consideration. I
Thank you
started
very
going
much.
over a few minutes. I can email it to whoever you wish.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Who do you
You
want me
could,
to
you
give?
could send it into the same
The central website?
address that you,
Okay, I can do that. Thank you very much.
yep, thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else tonight? Okay. No one? All right. We'll go on to item number 4, resolution number 17, entitled appointing officer positions for the fiscal year 2017-2018. Mr. Nardini, do you want to
Yes, Mr.
briefly go
Chairman,
through
be happy to. As the board is aware, the city, the agency's 28E agreement requires annually the board elect chairperson or officer positions for the South Central Regional Airport Agency. Recently, staff met with the executive committee to discuss these nominations. And what this following resolution would do would nominate the following individuals: Mr. Jim Hanson for the chairperson, Dr. David Barnes for the vice chair position, and Mr. Joe Warp for the secretary treasurer position. It's important to note that these appointments would be for 1 year, and they'd be for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018, or the fiscal year that would begin on July 1st, 2017 of this year, Mr. Chairman, and that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask for a motion to approve this resolution before discussion.
So moved.
Been moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none. Call for a vote. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. I guess.
Thank you for serving another year
Yes,
as chairman.
thank you, too. Let's see, number 5, resolution number 18 entitled approving fiscal year 2017-18 budget submittal. Mr. Nardini.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have to give a presentation on this. What this resolution would do is approve the proposed 2017, fiscal year 2017-18 budget. This would be the budget that would start on July 1st, 2017 and extend through June 30th, 2018. And overall, from a budgetary standpoint, total operating expenditures are projected at $15,100. Both the staff memo and resolution itemize those expenditures. It's the exact same budget that is the current 2017 budget. As far as capital expenditures that are being recommended this evening, it's very important to note that we do not have a recommendation on this, and this item will be determined once the Federal Aviation Administration makes a determination on the environmental assessment that will be addressed at a later date. So with this, Mr. Chairman, it is important to note that, once again, 28E agreement for the South Central Regional Airport Agency requires the agency to make a recommendation to move the cities of Oskaloosa and the cities of Pella and the city of Pella on both an operating budget and a capital expenditure budget for the year. So that's what this resolution would do, would adopt the budget and also make the recommendations to the respective cities.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I got a question.
Well, maybe-
Since there's not capital expenditures yet, that we don't know what those will be or how they'll be spent, is that something that will come as a secondary motion somewhere down the road to amend this? Is that how we're going to handle it, or what's the
We could,
process?
We could, Barry, I think that's open for discussion. Once it becomes known, at that point, we'd be happy to go back and address it, make a recommendation to the two cities if the board would like us to do that.
But there's no point in voting on a capital expenditure now because we don't know what the FAA is saying totally yet, so.
Yeah, we'll make sure we communicate that to
Right.
the respective cities. But
That's all I had.
we'd be happy to address that once
You bet.
we do know.
I just want opportunity in the future to be able to do that, yeah.
Sure, very good point.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Opposed, same sign. Said approved a little too soon. Stands approved, thank you. Update on federal aviation planning studies, Mr. Searle.
Thank you.
Yours for us today.
I'll certainly give you a brief overview. Since our public hearing, we have taken a copy, verbatim copy of the transcript along with written testimony that was submitted, both at the meeting as well as electronically. and have addressed issues within those comments and provided them to FAA. We have prepared a draft environmental assessment document, included both transcript, comments, along with response in EA. FAA has nearly completed their review of the environmental assessment document, which is a draft at this point, and we would anticipate in the near term they will be responding to us with regards to the adequacy of that document, and if they find it acceptable, then there will be a draft finding of no significant environmental impact prepared. That draft FONSI, as we call it, will be published on the SCRA website as well as in the 2 local newspapers, as we did with the public hearing notice. We'll provide opportunity, 30-day review period for public comment on that draft FONSI, and those comments then again will be submitted to FAA. So the finding of no significant environmental impact, or draft FONSI as we refer to it, will set forth any conditions with regards to the environmental assessment document and ultimately be made available. Probably, I would say within 34 to 6 weeks for a final FAA determination. So that's where we stand at present.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Jerry while he's here? No? All right. Thank you very much.
We had talked about it at that one workshop we had. Had you guys, had they come up with anything on 220th on how they were going to handle that? The relocation or whatever?
Sure, would you like me to?
Yeah, Mr., for those wanting to know, this is Mr. Dave Shanahan is the county engineer and member of the staff for the board. Yes.
And I didn't know if they had come up with anything back as you were going to look into whether or not it would be considered part of or however of the project. Because it affects how I plan on doing some work in that area. And plus with the bypass, if that comes through there as well, I need to know how that's going to work for people needing to get across 163 from certain areas there.
Yes, sir. I can respond by saying I have not seen the draft FONSI finding of no significant environmental impact. With regards to your question, was that any mitigation included therein? What we did recommend in the EA and in our responses, given the concern with regards to farm vehicles on Iowa 163 and the need to travel on that roadway, given the disconnect, is that we would provide essentially a service road extending around the end of the runway that would allow such farm equipment to traverse the airport in that particular manner. FAA has found that acceptable, and we have requested it be included in the FONSI document.
Would that then be going back toward the northwest along the east side of the northeast side of the
it would,
runway back up to into 220th? to the
Yes,
cross?
yes, sir, correct.
Thank you.
It would extend around the south end of the runway, yes.
Okay. Anything else? Well, we had the
Ask a
opportunity.
question.
Well, we,
Is that going to conserve more land have to be bought for that roadway or right of way?
No, sir, no additional land other than what was initially identified that has an aeronautical purpose. We can accommodate that access right away through that particular airport acquisition area and around. And what would be runway 36, south end.
May I ask a question? How's it go tight to the road? So it meets FAA security requirements to have access on the airport property for non-airport employees?
We We will fence on either side of the roadway travel area. It will be located outside the runway safety area. Based on the height of the vehicles that will traverse that roadway, equipment, so on and so forth, we will not penetrate the approach slope with the parking surfaces. Located outside the runway safety area would not represent a concentration of people on the airport or within a runway protection zone area, and therefore it is a permissible travel way. Again, for the express purpose of addressing concerns raised by the public with respect to agricultural farm equipment having to traverse Highway 163.
I'm sure Jerry will stick around after the meeting if there's any other questions you might have. Any other staff have any comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Discussion of next meeting date and time. Again, that's more than likely up to the FAA and their response and our actions after that, but we'll definitely have one in the next quarter. We have quarterly meetings, so that'll be determined at a future date and time. Are there any other comments, questions of the board? Anything else? Okay. Let's move. Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. How do we see if I can...